Good evening. This is the regularly scheduled meeting of the South Haven City Council for Monday, March the 16th, 2020. I'd like to call this meeting to order. The invocation this evening will be given by Mr. Craig Massey of the Hope Reformed Church. And thank you for coming out.
Thank you, Mayor, Council, and guests, City Manager. A few verses from Psalm 121 that many believers use during troubled times to meditate upon and to consider. These are here for all of us to consider in these times. I lift my eyes up to the hills. From where will my help come? My help comes from the Lord who made heaven and earth. He will not let your foot be moved. He who keeps you will not slumber. He who keeps Israel will neither slumber nor sleep. Please pray with me. Father God, on behalf of those gathered here today and those watching, thank you for your many and abundant blessings, which we will celebrate as families this week. Thank you for life itself, for the health we need to fulfill our callings, for sustenance, and for friendship. Thank you for the ability to be involved in useful work and for the honor of bearing responsibilities in serving others. Scripture states that citizens are to obey governing authorities since you have established these authorities to promote peace, order, and justice. Under our form of government, we entrust great responsibility to this body here. Thus, I pray for our mayor, for the various levels of city officials, and in particular for this assembled council. I ask that you grant these wisdom to govern amid conflicting interests, issues, and resources amidst the threat of mass illness. I ask that you grant them a sense of people's real needs as they work to solve these problems, that you grant a strong thirst for justice and righteousness, that you provide them with character so that a good example is set for these that they serve. Also to provide the ability to work together in harmony even during honest disagreement, and a personal peace in their home lives and joy in their tasks. I pray that the agenda set before these men and women today will please you and will benefit those who live and work in and around our city. Additionally, Lord, I ask you to again bless those who serve South Haven's people honorably, also to reveal to them the necessary knowledge to this body and to work towards solutions to the considerable problems it faces. It is in the name of Jesus that I pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you again for coming out. Thank you for coming out. Next, Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We will not have a proclamation for Ms. Dorothy Sherrod tonight, but that will happen at a future date. Travis, roll call.
Jeff Arnold.
Here.
Chris Campbell.
Here.
Joe Reeser.
Here.
Steve Schlock.
Here.
George Sleeper.
Here.
Letitia Wilkins.
Here.
Scott Smith.
Here. That takes us to the approval of the agenda.
Make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
Motion is second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. It's approved. Consent agenda, items A through F.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda, items A through F.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, this is a roll call.
Arnold.
Yes.
Campbell.
Yes.
Reeser.
Yes.
Schlock.
Yes.
Sleeper.
Yes.
Wilkins.
Yes.
Smith.
Yes. Item 8 is a presentation from Western Michigan University, and that will take place at a future date. Correct. So let's go to item 9. City Council will be asked to consider the following special event applications. I'm going to read just the numbers real quick. I'll look for a motion for the slate, and then Brian will explain each one. Special event 2020-07 is a National Day of Prayer to be held May the 7th, 2020 at City Hall. Special event 2020-08, Easter Sunrise Service to be held April the 12th, 2020 at South Beach. Special event 2020-09, Icebreaker 2021 to be held from February the 5th, 2021 through February the 7th, 2021 at various city parks in the downtown. Special event 2020-10 is the Blueberry Festival 2020 to be held from August the 6th, 2020 through August the 9th, 2020 at various city parks. And all of these would be contingent upon the governor's release of the emergency declaration. So I just need a motion and a second.
I'd make a motion to approve special events -07, -08, -09, and -10.
Second.
All right, Brian, just anything special on those?
These are all established events. The city staff has reviewed them. We have no concerns. The two issues that everyone is keenly aware of is the governor's state of emergency related to viral outbreak and the potential for impacts of high water. With that said, these events are ready to be approved, just with that contingency of the release of the state of emergency by the state of Michigan.
Very good, thank you. Any council questions? Seeing none. Any public questions? Alrighty.
We got an email.
Oh, that's right. That's on
Yeah,
the Monroe Bluff. We've got a question. That's the next one. So,
Well, recently the council got an email about dogs at these events, and I didn't think dogs were allowed in with Mr. Weinert's email. And then it was something else.
So leashed animals are allowed within the city for some of these events. They do stretch over public spaces. We have not taken any effort to restrict the use of animals during special events. It is definitely something that we could defer to the Parks Commission for debate and consideration. The only example of a prohibition on animals that we do have in place is the farm market.
Okay, that's what I thought. But so then they all would be leashed.
They are required to be leashed, and there are restrictions in place. You can't have it at the farm market. You can't have a leashed animal or loose animal out on the beach area, but you are allowed to walk on the sidewalks and through public spaces and parks.
That's what I thought.
I think there was also one on handicap access for
Oh,
Blueberry Festival or something.
yeah.
I think if they get with the Blueberry Committee, I think that can get worked out pretty simply.
Yeah, and we've been working with other event promoters from the Chamber to the CVB on making sure that all of the events have handicap accessible restrooms. The idea for trying to have parking spots is something we can definitely look at.
yeah, that was a good idea, I think, to put them a little closer to the event. I think that was a good idea.
Well, I think they offer rides too
Yeah.
for accessibility, so.
All right, very good. We've got a motion and a second to approve that slate of events. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no, they are approved. City Council will be asked to consider the following actions with regard to some grant applications related to the proposed improvements to the Monroe Bluff. First, we need to hold a public hearing. So why don't we start with that? We'll open that and
I'll make a motion to open the public hearing.
Second?
motion and second to host a public hearing, and this is to allow comment on the Michigan Land and Water Conservation Fund. So why don't we go ahead and, who's filling us in down there?
I'll start and then just defer to staff. The council's being asked to look at one project, two different pots of money. So the LWCF is the Land and Water Conservation Fund, and the Michigan Natural Resources Trust Fund. So there's LWCF and MNRTF. They're two separate pots of money. They're administered by the DNR. It's one application essentially for two different funding sources. Staff, between Deb and Bill, they're going to walk you through what the grants are, and then specifically what the project is. So it's just one project asking for two separate pots of money. If either is awarded, you win. Then as a community, we wouldn't get the separate.
Actually, before you go, I realized I had a motion and a second. I didn't actually, everybody asked for the aye. So, sorry, motion and second to open this hearing. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Sorry, open.
Sorry about that, sir.
No, it's my bad. I realized I didn't do it.
Okay.
Go.
Okay,
Sorry.
I'll start with the granting opportunities. So as Brian said, the Land and Water Conservation Fund, the max we can ask for is $300,000, and the city must provide a 50% match to that. So $300,000 on that. And with the Michigan Natural Trust, the funding request will be $300,000, with the city providing $317,300 for a total project cost of $617,300. The reason the project cost is $617,300, but we couldn't ask for more for the Land and Water Conservation Fund. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
And just to further on that statement, just to understand the long timelines, if council were to submit today, and assuming everything goes perfectly and the DNR staff agrees with our application and we are funded, we would not find out until roughly November of 2020 before whether or not the project is recommended. It's then passed to the legislature and ultimately signed into law by the governor's office. So best case scenario, you're looking at this time next year before we potentially would have a grant contract. We would then still have to go through Parks Commission, Planning Commission, and then ultimately City Council. So I just want to make sure the council and the public is aware, this is a ways out.
Nope.
Please continue.
I'm good.
Go ahead.
We're good?
The consensus plan that was approved, this is a plan, the Monroe Bluff Beach Management Plan was put together by Edgewater with many public input meetings that we had from the Parks Commission, Planning Commission. The idea of this plan was to prevent erosion, was to start from the top, is to control the top of the hill. So what you're looking at is actually some, like an 8-foot path that goes in there with some small walls. The walls should be about probably 18 inches high, so they'll start at 18 inches and they'll go down to a second landing, similar to that. But the walls go further down. There's a base and a form that, or a foundation that goes further down. Like I said, the idea of it is to control the top of it. And the plan does consist of actually, you can see it from the consensus plan, there's actually some existing vegetation area that was actually always proposed just to leave as is, but then to once or twice a year to go through and take the invasive species out. Also, part of the plan is to take your existing trails or to designate a trail. You'll see a lot of goat trails throughout there. The whole idea is to take the blue stairs and the brown stairs and actually have these posts with these ropes that go down and get your pedestrians from the stairs to the beach, and to control actually them going out any further. And hopefully then the grasses will take root again and reestablish. So that's the basis of the plan. There are some bump outs in there as well, and you can see actually how it does meander through. The bump outs are for, of course, to shorten that time, the distance from the pedestrian traveling from the Monroe to the Kids Corner. In addition to the plan, there's 2 bike paths. You have a 5-foot one, a 5-foot one. You still have a parking lane, and you still have 2 traffic lanes. The traffic lanes are proposed to be 10 feet and not, the standard usually is 12 to 11. That's what AASHTO recommends. But you can lower those down, and the idea is when you shrink lanes, you slow people down. It's the same concept actually with your lane diet. If you shrink it down, it slows people down. And with that corridor, I think you probably need that with the kids and kids corner back and forth. You can actually put a crosswalk somewhere, and I know kids will pick the spot in the middle, and that's where they'll cross. So I think it's probably a good plan in that area to do that.
So members of council, just following up on this, we did heavy outreach to both the Parks and Planning Commission. The bulk of that effort was done in joint session. We actually led walking tours of the bluff. This thing has been worked on since about 2018. We would highly recommend the council proceed with the application. Again, just want to make sure that the council understands, best case scenario, you're looking at this time next year before we would have a grant contract. We would then still have to go through final site plan review with the Planning Commission as well as with the Parks Commission before bringing it back to council.
Sounds good. And then we had a question from the public on this one, didn't we? Well, we're in a public comment section.
Yep. So we've got a question here from Barb Rodonis from 30 Apache Court. Her comment is that her concern or question is what practices or plans are being put into place or will be regarding the preservation of the milkweed plants that grow in the area. Monarch butterflies, almost on the endangered species list, are seen flying along this area every summer, and I found caterpillars on that milkweed every summer. There has also been some sort of clearing out of the various plants growing in this area. Has the area been sprayed with any type of pesticides to help facilitate this clearing out. Brian Doucette has supported various places within South Haven to plant not only milkweed, but pollinator plants and gardens as well.
Right. I know we've had this discussion before, that we're supportive of milkweed, right? I mean, I'm curious.
Yeah, the plan actually has a list of recommended plantings plus actually invasive species, and I believe milkweed is an invasive species. So our only thing was the communication we always got from the public is keep it as natural as possible.
Yep.
So I'd only go after the invasive species that are actually identified there and remove those.
Right.
So,
And
we're-
just to follow up on the milkweed question, we've done a variety of milkweed plantings. The last major effort was next to the wastewater treatment plant, and that's been several years ago, but in that case, we worked with Citizens Group. We actually tilled the land and allowed them to plant milkweed seeds in an effort to try and attract more butterflies.
Yeah, we had a ton last summer at our house, so we've had this discussion before, because I know that's come up before, so good. And we're still working on that black locust question, right? The black locust question.
oh, but didn't you have some input actually that?
Yeah, well,
was-
a lot of the locals are pretty convinced the black locust is what holds the bank up, and it was on the invasive get rid of list, so we just gotta check with our arborist, he's the expert, I'm just sharing what the locals are telling me, so.
I'll pass the question on to Edgewater because they actually put this together because that's a good question. I'll ask them.
Sounds good. All right, we're still in the public section. Anyone in the public have any questions? Any other council questions before we close this down? Do you have a question?
Yeah, couple questions. I'm doing this from a couple years ago when we walked the bluff and Edgewater was there, and it was very helpful. I remember, but I could be wrong, that there was going to be a bike path on both sides of the street, one going one direction and one on the other.
There's actually a bike path, if you're referring to on the street, there was going to be
Yeah.
bike paths on the street, yes, designated.
Both ways.
Yep, there's a 5-foot one and a 6-foot one. The 6-foot one is closer because if you're looking, let's go from the water inland, you'd have a parking space of 8 foot, you'd have a 6-foot lane, then you'd have a travel lane, vehicle travel lane, another vehicle travel lane, and another bike lane.
If you refer to the overhead screen, you can see what Bill's describing.
So you would see K right there, I think that's the bike lane, and then you have K on the other side. So those are the two bike lanes right there. And then your parking, actually your parallel parking, so we're not losing any parking, plus we're gaining an additional two designated bike lanes. And the
What's
two
the
travel
lane, what's
lanes.
the new lane width of the road?
They got one 5-foot and one 6-foot. The 6-foot one
The
is,
road itself,
oh, the road itself?
that's coming down?
No, it's using the existing curbs. Nope, we're utilizing the existing pavement.
Is it 21 overall?
Oh, feet-wise?
Yeah.
No, you're going to have, see, 20, 25, 31. It's like almost about 40 feet of pavement.
Does that answer your question, sir?
Yeah, what were you speaking of when you skinny the lanes down, slowing traffic down?
Oh, the existing lanes are like 12-foot lanes. And there's really no designation, but we're saying there's about 12-foot lanes there. So when we designate it, those lanes, so there'll be a white line. So you'll have the center line marking and then a white line, and we'll try to get it down to like 10 foot. It's still enough to get a truck through there or anything else. It's just when you paint that other line on there and you I'd say skinny it down from like a standard 12, you're still allowing the traffic too, but it makes the driver actually slow down. There's been a lot of studies that show that, and we use that same methodology with the lane diet, with the idea of eliminating the lane, so.
Okay.
Will it contain as many benches, or if not more, than we have now? That's something people really love to do on that bluff, is sit up there.
The benches are actually, there's a few benches called for, but their plan is to maintain the benches that are there. That's to save us some money. There might be some where we have to relocate some of them, but they'll stay there.
Very good. Any others? How about a motion to close the public hearing?
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second. Motion second to close the public hearing. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Next, council will be asked to consider approval of Resolution 2020-14, a resolution supporting an application to the Michigan Land and Water Conservation Fund to make improvements to the Monroe Boulevard.
Make a motion to approve Resolution 2020-14, a resolution supporting an application to the Michigan Land and Water Conservation Fund to make improvements to Monroe Boulevard.
Second.
Motion is second. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. It is approved. Next, we need to host a public hearing to allow comment on the proposed application to the Michigan Natural Resources Trust Fund.
I'll make a motion to open public hearing.
Second?
Motion second to open a public hearing. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. We're open.
Mr. Mayor, this is literally the same
Carbon
project.
copy.
It's just a separate funding source.
Any public comments? Got none. Close the public hearing.
Make a motion to close the public hearing?
Second.
Motion second to close the public hearing. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We're closed. Next, council will be asked to consider approval of a resolution 2020-15, which is a resolution supporting an application to the Michigan Natural Resources Trust Fund to make improvements to the Monroe Boulevard.
I'll make a motion to consider approval of Resolution 2020-15, a resolution supporting an application to the Michigan Natural Resources Trust Fund to make improvements to Monroe Boulevard.
I'll second.
Motion is second. Again, the same project, just a different funding source. Any other questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. It's approved. Next, City Council will be asked to consider approval of Resolution 2020-16. Wait a minute. No. Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that's where, yeah. 2020-16, a resolution supporting an application to the Michigan Department of Natural Resources Recreation Passport for grant funding to make improvements to the Optimus Tot Lot Park.
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 2020-16, a resolution supporting an application to the Michigan Department of Natural Resources Recreational Passport for grant funding to make improvements to Optimus Tot Lot Park.
I'll second.
Motion and a second. Mr. Sett.
So, members of council, if you look to the overhead screen, this is just a concept rendering. This is by no means what will ultimately be built. This is a smaller project. The Recreation Passport is a third funding source that's offered by the DNR. This targets smaller projects that just don't jump up into the total price point of the MNRTF or LWCF. This would be to be placed at the Optimus Tot Lot, which is over on the city's east side near, I believe, Wilson Street. Now, with that said, the one hiccup that we've had on this is the Parks Commission did start the discussion of the proposed Tot Lot enhancement project, but due to quorum issues, we were unable to get a final motion to approve this design. So I just want to make the council completely aware that if the Rec Passport grant is approved, that we would then have to work through the final design concept with the Parks Commission, the Planning Commission, and then bring it back to the City Council for final approval. Now, with that said, Deb and Bill have spent a lot of time working on the budget and the concept. I'll defer to them.
My apologies, this is actually option one. It was option two, actually. Can we? Would be, yep.
There we go.
There we go. That's option two. As Brian said, we had a couple of meetings with the Parks Commission. We had West Michigan Sales Associate give us 4 options. A lot of good input from the Parks Commission. What it came down to is what kind of application can we put in, what can we get approved, and what can we, within our budget, do. So what I started looking at is, well, what did we do at Kids Corner? Kids Corner, we did like an inclusive area that we were able to expand afterwards, and that seemed to be well received within the community. So we decided to do the same thing here. So we'll keep the same park area in the back, but you have this inclusive area. Some of the input we received actually from the Parks Commission was the colors. So I did approach actually the West Michigan, and they're going to put some more natural colors in there, and so we'll go away from these bright colors, and which would blend in. Some of the input too is the Parks Commission wanted a something bigger in the back because they didn't want, maybe one child in the inclusive area and another child in the back area. They wanted something larger, but as you can see from the staff, the prices just went up substantially. And with Kids Corner what happening at that same time frame and us having to match like 275,000, I didn't want this to come up at the same time, and then we're trying to split hairs, trying to get money for both parks at the same time. So that's where staff came with the recommendation. We thought this one here, like I said, was similar to the Kids Corner, an inclusive area. And this will have that, like I said, it'll be completely inclusive, so the kids can have a wheelchair, go around and play with all the, and intermingle. So I thought that was good. So City Council, have any questions on this option, or?
Bill, one question. The accessibility, will it be off of Wilson Street? Is it going to be coming off of there or off the, what's the other cross street? Is it Bailey, is it?
Yeah, it would be off of Wilson.
Okay.
I just pulled up a concept drawing.
So the basketball court's staying?
Yes.
Yep, basketball court staying. We're saying within, we're just creating another area right before it.
The other playground stays as well?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
And members of council, just following up on Bill's comments, when we talk about inclusivity, we're specifically trying to bring play equipment that kids of all physical abilities are able to take advantage of. If a child is bound to a wheelchair, this stuff is set up so that he or she is able to use it just as any other kid would be able to.
Right. And like with our other parks, part of this would eventually be getting the curb cuts. I know that's later, but I mean, it's not shown in there, but that comes eventually, so.
Yeah, with the project, there's probably going to be curb cuts and some responsibility we're going to have out to the street, so that'll
Yeah.
come later with the project.
Sounds good. All right, very good.
And Mr. Mayor, just again, the word of warning on this is, it is still a long lead time. We would submit right now, we would find out in November, we would not have a grant contract until this time next year. We would then have to go through site plan review, Parks Commission, and ultimately contract approval for the city council. Best case scenario, you figure about a year and a half from now, and that's the absolutely moving the fastest.
Very good. Any public comments on this? Council comments? Nothing. We like it, fix up the parks, so I think it's a good project. Motion to second to approve Resolution 2020-16, which would help us fix up the Optimist Tot Lot Park. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. It is approved. Thanks again for getting it ready. Next, City Council will be asked to consider adopting the draft set of City Council priorities for the fiscal year 2020-21.
I make a motion that we approve the draft set of city council priorities for the fiscal year 2021, fiscal year.
I'll second.
2020.
Motion and a second. They're in the packet, so Brian, I'll just go. I mean, they're out there. If you want to read them, they're on the.
Yeah, so anyone who's curious about what will drive decision-making and budget, you can find it on the city's website. If adopted, I'll post the information up onto the city's website as the upcoming fiscal year's priorities. It'll be on the city council page and then also in this Friday's weekly update.
Very good. All righty. Motion and a second to approve those priorities. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. We are approved. Next, City Council, we asked to consider an introduction to the zoning ordinance amendment pertaining to driveway widths and set the matter for public hearing on April the 13th, 2020.
Mr. Mayor.
Oh, I missed 13, didn't I? Boo. Okay, go backward. City Council will be asked to schedule a series of budget workshop sessions for the review of fiscal year 2020-21 budget.
I make a motion to,
The city will be asked to schedule a series of budget workshop sessions for a review of the fiscal year 2021 budget.
second.
Motion second.
So, Mr. Mayor, members of council, we are looking at Monday, April 20th at 5 p.m. And then if a second session is needed, it would be Monday, April 27th at 7 p.m. And those would be in the conference room.
Very good.
Okay.
All right, motion and second. All's in favor, say aye.
Aye.
No, they're approved. Now, let's try that one. City Council will be asked to consider an introduction to the zoning ordinance amendment pertaining to driveway widths and set the matter for public hearing on April the 13th, 2020 at 7 p.m. So this is just an introduction.
Do we require a motion?
Yes.
Or an introduction?
Yep.
I move that we introduce the zoning ordinance amendment pertaining to driveway widths and set the matter for a public hearing on April 13th, 2020 at 7 p.m.
Second.
Motion and a second. Brian, just introduce.
Yeah, so members of the council, this has been discussed at the council level, at the planning commission level. The council offered some general guidance to the planning commission. The planning commission approved the council's guidance at their last meeting. This will seek to standardize the widths permitted for drives throughout the city. Kate will have a whole lot more information at the public hearing.
Very good.
Okay.
All right. What else we got here? So we got the motion, the second. Where we at? Any other discussion? Public comments? Council comments? Oh, wait a minute, we got to go. Come on up. Just state your name and address.
This is the introduction, correct?
Yeah.
Tom
Yeah.
Feeney, 516 Phoenix Street. There was some question about too much concrete being on some of the property, that we were just paving the whole property and not having enough green space left. It's been brought to my attention that some of the lots are 50-foot wide, and if you had the excessive width added up, that would take up quite a bit of space on the lot. I just have a recommendation that if you limit the lot width to be, or the driveway width to be 1/3 of the total length of the width of the property, then that would be 16.5 feet on a 15-foot lot, which I believe is what the current ordinance is. And then if your lot were wider, then you could accommodate the proposed wider driveway width. That's it.
We'll take it.
Yep.
Very good. Thank you. Any other council comments? If not, we have a motion and a second to set the introduction. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. It's all set. Next, City Council will be asked to consider an introduction to the zoning ordinance amendment regulating balconies in the Central Business District and set the matter for public hearing on April the 13th, 2020 at 7 p.m.
Make a motion to introduce the zoning ordinance amendment regulating balconies in the Central Business District and set the matter for public hearing on April 13th, 2020 at 7 p.m.
I'll second.
All right, motion and a second.
Members of council, what this public hearing will relate to in the proposed ordinance is essentially requiring if balconies are to be placed on new, say, multifamily buildings within the Central Business District, this would require that either the building be set back further so that the balconies don't overhang the sidewalk, or the balcony be reconfigured so that there is no direct overhang on the sidewalk. The Planning Commission worked on this after they moved through the site plan review of 335 Center. It went through Planning Commission subcommittee and then ultimately was approved by the Planning Commission at their most recent meeting. Kate will have a full update to the council at that public hearing.
Sounds good. Thank you. Any public questions on this one? Large public tonight? No. Council comments? Got none. All right. Motion and a second to make that introduction. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. It's introduced. We are now to the citizens of the audience will be heard on items not on the agenda. Large public again? Oh, we had one other. Travis, come on up.
So this is in reference to, this is the same person that had the comment earlier. She said she couldn't hear clearly regarding milkweed. Was the answer that yes, it is an invasive species or plant, or no, it is not considered an invasive species or plant? She just asked that we clarify what was said.
I think the answer was it is not, and we encourage,
It is not listed as an invasive species in the plan.
Okay, so we will let it remain.
Yes.
Yes.
Very good. So the milkweed will remain. We like butterflies. Perfect. Any other citizens? Tom? No, it's good. Tom's good. All right, seeing none, we are not going to have an update at this time from our emergency services personnel. They are going to do that at a later time, which takes us to city manager's comments.
Members of council, it is definitely a challenging time to work in local government. Our state of Michigan has declared a state of emergency tied to viral concerns. Today, Van Buren County leadership closed to discuss what their contingency plans are. We anticipate tomorrow they will be formally announcing those. Staff will be closely monitoring what recommendations come out of Van Buren County. What I can tell you right now, what we are doing is We are continuing to provide water, sewer, electric services, street maintenance, park maintenance, and most importantly, for right now, public safety. So police, fire are coming to work each day. The two chiefs are taking steps to ensure that their workers are coming in healthy. So they are doing daily diagnostics to make sure that the officers are responding, are not out spreading viral concerns. With that said, we are trying really hard as your staff to make sure that we are open for business. Now, that means that we are trying to limit our staff's interaction with the public right now to keep our staff healthy and going for weeks to come. We are open at City Hall. Unfortunately, the doors are locked during the hours of business. We are accepting payments online. We are accepting payments through a Dropbox. We are, for the time being, going to be limiting shutoffs for non-payments on utilities. I actively encourage people to stay current on their bills. But for the immediate time being, as people are at home with kids due to the schools being released, we are trying very, very hard to make sure that we're working with people and understanding this critical need for water, sewer, and electric services. Almost daily, we're getting updates from the state, from the federal government, and other sources. We're trying our very best to keep that information up on the city's website. And most importantly, we are keeping ourselves as staff, staying up on phone calls, emails, and any requests for help or assistance from the public. Tonight was really a trial run. We have streamed this meeting in a new way. We have essentially a Google Doc where any member of the public can submit questions so that they're at home, they're watching our meeting, and we're still trying to communicate with them. So tonight was the first night that we brought this system online, and we encourage the public. Stay engaged with City Hall, stay engaged with the council, but try your very best to distance yourself. The last thing that I wanted the council to be aware of is we are shutting down all non-absolutely critical meetings, and that means that for the public, they are going to need to be patient. Planning Commission, Harbor Commission, Parks Commission, these are all being pushed out until the close of the state of emergency. There will be some people that are upset. I just beg that they be patient and understand that these are very difficult times, and almost daily the rules are changing both at the state level as well as the federal level. To members of council, if you have any concerns 7 days a week, let me know what it is and I'll do my best to work with you. Mr. Mayor, those are my comments.
Very good, thank you. Council comments. I'll start on my left.
No comment.
No comment.
No comment.
I just tell people to use common sense during this time. Wash your hands, be courteous to others, and please stop hoarding at the grocery store. Thank you.
These are difficult times, and as with many difficult times, there are a lot of significant negative issues that people are dealing with. Although it may not seem possible, as with many negative things, some good is emerging, such as the many people who put their own interests aside to help others. And I just want to thank everyone out there that has stepped up to help those that are struggling with the coronavirus, and we will get through this, but it will not be easy. Thank you.
I know all of our thoughts and prayers are with people that are susceptible to any virus, especially seniors and those that are least capable in terms of physical health. I also want to say a thought and prayer for all the small businesses in town. It is especially difficult for them and especially difficult for their employees that live on tips. And I saw something on the news last night that someone went from $200 a night for St. Patty's Day Saturday night down to $40. And I can't imagine how you support your family when you see your job going away. So I just hope for them that things get better quick. Thanks.
Very good. I just want to thank everybody for tuning in, coming in, for our participant that tried our Skype, Google concept. And it is, we're living in an unprecedented time as we work to stop the spread of COVID-19. And as Brian said, we just be patient. Your elected leaders, city leadership, school leaders, everybody in the community, we're doing our best to manage this, but there's not a playbook for this. We're learning daily as this thing changes, but we're doing our absolute best to make sure service is being provided and everyone's staying safe. You've seen the announcements. School's been canceled for 3 weeks. Social distancing, universities are closed. Employees are being encouraged to work from home, so it's affecting all of us, and we just want you to be rest assured that the City of South Haven will continue to serve you. Brian's mentioned a few of the changes. We are going to continue to provide essential services as best we can. Police, fire, ambulance, water, sewer, electric workers, they're going to be out. They'll be making sure things are taken care of. We can still crank millions of gallons of water, so no need to hoard water bottles. We can make a whole lot of water, so rest assured, we're going to be out here taking care of you. City Hall closed, as Brian mentioned this morning, but we're still working. Staff is still here. We'll still be taking care of your needs, picking up the phones. So we're still here. Just because the doors are closed doesn't mean we're not here. And in some cases, if people need to get here, we'll figure that out. Take advantage of the tools and technology that are available. We all know what those are. So, get out. If you can work from home, do it. Social distancing, obviously, as best we can. Look at our website. We're doing our best to keep that updated around the clock. If you need to meet with us, there's a variety of ways you can do it. So call us, email us, you name it. We will figure out a way to get your needs addressed. Brian mentioned some of the utility bill options. So electronically through ACH, we're waiving ACH fees during this time. So if you can't get in, we will take care of those through ETF at your bank. So there's ways to pay us. We've invested in technology, which we debuted tonight, which is exciting. And council meetings will likely be a little different in the next couple of months, so we'll do our best to make sure everyone's still able to view these. Our goal is to provide you with the same level of service, so bear with us as we adapt and change, but we're going to do our best to make sure everyone is safe. Again, just be patient. And really just keep out for your neighbors too. Look around. If you've got elderly neighbors out there or people that maybe are afraid to go out, reach out to them. If there's people that are struggling, be neighborly. Check on those around you. Chris mentioned some good points. Keep those hands, take care of those elbows. Joe mentioned businesses. I couldn't say that more. Be mindful of all those businesses because this is tough for all of them as well. So on that note, I'll just say take care of yourselves. Be safe. And thanks for listening in again. I'll seek a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion second to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.